Good morning, one and all. I'm Dr. Ramya, and today's my topic is infection mimics of rheumatic heart disease in adults, and my moderator is Dr. So, coming to the introduction, rheumatism or rheumatic diseases are the medical conditions which affect the joints, bones, cartilage, tendons, ligaments, and muscles. These rheumatic disorders encompass more than 200 different disorders, for which American College of Rheumatology in 1983 classified them into 10 major categories, which include diffuse connective tissue disorders like rheumatoid arthritis, SLE, and arthritis associated with spondylitis like spondyloarthropathies, osteoarthritis, and rheumatic syndromes associated with infectious agents, either direct, indirect, or reactive, and metabolic and endocrine disorders such as gout and pseudogout, and neoplasms, neurovascular disorders, bone and articular disorders, extra-articular disorders like bursitis, tendinitis, and capsulitis, and also miscellaneous disorders associated with articular manifestations. So, coming to the differential diagnosis of the arthritis syndrome, they can be acute, chronic, and monoarticular or polyarticular. Coming to the acute monoarticular arthritis, involving only the infectious lesions, acute monoarticular arthritis can be because of Staphylococcus aureus, Streptococcus pneumoniae, beta hemolytic streptococci, gram-negative bacilli, Neisseria gonorrhea, and also Candida species. And chronic monoarticular arthritis can be because of Mycobacterium tuberculosis, non-tuberculous mycobacteria, Borrelia burgdorferi, and Candida species, and fungi like Sporothrix shanke, Cocoides immitis, Blastomyces dermatitis, Aspergillus species, Cryptococcus neoformans, Nocardia, and also Brucella species. Coming to the polyarticular arthritis, it can be because of Neisseria meningitidis, Neisseria gonorrhea, non-gonococcal bacterial arthritis, few of them, bacterial endocarditis, also Candida species, Ponson's disease as in tuberculous rheumatism, and have different viruses like hepatitis B viruses, parvovirus B19, HIV, human T lymphotropic virus type 1, rubella virus, many of the arthropod-borne viruses, also few of reactive arthritis, serum sickness, acute rheumatic fever, inflammatory bowel disease. Coming to the pathophysiology, it might be because of the direct invasion of microbes causing the infection, inflammation, synovial ischemia, and pannus formation as in septic arthritis, or immune-mediated inflammation because of the antigen-antibody complexes to the bacterial cell outer cell membrane or products such as lipopolysaccharide cell wall of gonococci and outer surface protein of Borrelia burgdorferi in case of Lyme's disease, and localization of the worm in case of Dracunculus medinensis. Or the other cause may be autoimmune, where molecular mimicry can be seen breaching the immune tolerance, and also transactivation of the host gene by the viral products leading to the production of the inflammatory cytokines. Examples: spondyloarthritis, reactive arthritis, rheumatic fever. Coming to the arthritis have been differentiated into 4 groups by WHO and ACR, American College of Rheumatologists, as septic or infectious arthritis, where a microbe can be detected in the joint, or post-infectious arthritis, where a bacterial antigen is detected in the joint, or a reactive arthritis or inflammatory arthritis, where the microbe and antigen is not detected. The reactive arthritis is group 3, secondary to urogenital or GIT infections, or inflammatory arthritis, which is triggered by the microbes, but the microbe, antigen, and the product are not detected in the joint. So, coming to the bacterial arthritis, they can be broadly classified into non-gonococcal bacterial infection and gonococcal bacterial infection. The non-gonococcal bacterial infection, the causative agents in most of the healthy individuals are Staphylococcus aureus, Haemophilus influenza, and Streptococci. Whereas in immunocompromised patients, such as patients with underlying rheumatoid arthritis or type 2 diabetes mellitus, we can find Staphylococcus aureus along with gram-negative bacilli. In IV drug abuses, we can find Staphylococcus, Streptococcus, Pseudomonas, gram-negative bacilli. In case of bites and scratches like cat bites, we can find Pasteurella multocida, Bartonella henselae. In case of human bites, Eikenella corrodens. So the clinical presentation will be fever, joint pain, decreased range of motion of the involved joints, inflamed joints which are uniformly swollen, And the joints involved mostly in the healthy individuals are a single joint is involved, like knee, hip or shoulder. In rheumatoid arthritis, patients with underlying rheumatoid arthritis, it can be polyarticular. In case of direct inoculation, as in case of trauma or bites, we can find it in small joints of the hands and feet. In case of drug users, you can find it in spine, sacroiliac joints and sternoclavicular joints. The differential diagnosis for non-gonococcal bacterial infection are mainly cellulitis, bursitis, acute osteomyelitis. However, they can be differentiated from the bacterial arthritis in view of their greater range of motion and less than circumferential swelling. So here the uniformly swollen joints we can see in case of bacterial arthritis rather than this cellulitis, bursitis and acute osteomyelitis. The diagnosis can be because of leukocytosis, raised WBC, ESR, CRP, but the major gold standard for the diagnosis is joint fluid aspiration and finding the microbe in the joint fluid, especially gram stain and culture sensitivity. In case of bacterial infection, the synovial fluid will appear purulent. So the treatment will be IV antibiotics according to susceptibility for a duration of 2 to 4 weeks and timely arthroscopic drainage of pus and necrotic debris. Coming to the gonococcal arthritis, it is caused by Neisseria gonorrhea. It can present as two presentations. Asymptomatic, where the mucosal colonization of urethra, cervix and pharynx is seen, or it can present as bacteremia with disseminated gonococcal infection and arthritis. So the classical presentation of disseminated gonococcal arthritis is fever, chills, rash, which is small papules progressing to hemorrhagic pustules involving the trunk and extensor surfaces of the distal extremities. And according to the arthritis, it is migratory arthritis with tenosynovitis. So the joints involved are mostly single joints, which is migratory: knees, hands, wrist, feet and ankles. So the specific points, it is mainly in the females less than 40 years of age, and the diagnosis is based on the cultures, gram stain smears of skin lesions rather than the synovial fluid, nucleic acid amplification based assays, and also the clinical diagnosis. We can make a clinical diagnosis even in the absence of the bacteria in the joint fluid when there is dramatic relief of the symptoms within 12 to 24 hours after appropriate antibiotic therapy. Then coming to the treatment, it can be IV or oral. Initially IV ceftriaxone, followed by the relief of the symptoms, we can change it to oral fluoroquinolone for a period of 7 days. In case of disseminated gonococcal infection, always treat for chlamydia trachomatis with azithromycin with the dose of single dose of 1 gram orally. And the differential diagnosis for gonococcal arthritis is another Neisseria group organism, Neisseria meningitidis, causing meningococcemia, which is a dermatitis and arthritis syndrome, where you can find a purulent monoarthritis and reactive polyarthritis rather than a migratory arthritis. So coming to the spirochetal arthritis, one of the causative spirochetes causing arthritis is Borrelia burgdorferi, which causes Lyme's disease. It is transmitted by iodox tick. It takes days to weeks to develop the arthritis. So the mainly the clinical presentation, especially involving the joints, is seen in case of untreated patients, which is also a type of migratory arthritis, and it is mainly 3 patterns, where the most common is the intermittent episodes of monoarthritis or oligoarthritis, and 20% of the patients waxing and waning arthralgias, and 10% of the patients chronic inflammatory synovitis and erosive lesions. So the joints involved most commonly are the large joints of the knee, more common than shoulder, ankle, elbow or temporomandibular joints. So the rash involved in the Lyme's arthritis is erythema migrans, and diagnosis is by specific serological tests for IgG antibodies for Borrelia burgdorferi and nucleic acid amplification based assay. The treatment can be doxycycline, amoxicillin or IV ceftriaxone, either oral or IV. If the oral, you have to give for 28 days, IV 2 to 4 weeks. Failure for 2 months of oral or 1 month of IV antibiotics. The next step of choice will be anti-inflammatory agents or synovectomy. Then coming to the syphilitic arthritis caused by Treponema pallidum, it depends upon the stage of presentation. It can be congenital syphilis, secondary syphilis and tertiary syphilis. However, the joint involvement is not seen in case of primary syphilis. In case of early congenital syphilis, we get a parrot pseudoparalysis where there will be periarticular swelling and immobilization of the involved limbs, especially the lower limbs. And in case of late congenital syphilis, we find Clutton's joint, which is seen in 8 to 15 years of age group, where there is a chronic, painless, symmetrical synovitis with effusions involving the knee and the elbows. Whereas in case of secondary syphilis, we get mainly arthralgias, symmetric arthritis which can be acute or chronic involving the knees and ankles rather than the shoulders, wrists and with sacroiliitis. In the tertiary syphilis, we get Charcot's joint, which is because of the sensory loss seen in Tabes dorsalis. And coming to the diagnosis, secondary syphilis, we find synovial fluid containing mixed mononuclear and neutrophilic synovial fluid pleocytosis with typical cell counts of 5000 to 1500 and typical X-ray findings. And the treatment in case of secondary syphilis will be IV penicillin. And in case of Charcot's joint, the principles of management are vascular management, infectious management and prevention, and also pressure relief. So coming to the other group of organisms, mycobacterial arthritis. It can be either tubercular arthritis or atypical mycobacterial organisms. So coming to tubercular arthritis caused by Mycobacterium tuberculosis, it develops over months and years, and the clinical features of presence as chronic granulomatous monoarthritis. However, a rare form, tubercular rheumatism or Ponson's disease, where we find a reactive symmetric form of polyarthritis with non-suppurative lesions and also erythema nodosum. Whereas in case of atypical mycobacterial lesions caused by Mycobacterium avium intracellular, Mycobacterium canasi, Mycobacterium marinum or Mycobacterium haemophilum, we find the chronic indolent arthritis. So the joints involved in tubercular arthritis, if we consider tubercular osteomyelitis, mostly the spine will be involved. Whereas in tubercular arthritis, large weight-bearing joints such as hips, knees and ankles are involved. Rarely smaller joints are involved. However, in contrast, in atypical mycobacterial agents, we find the involvement of smaller joints such as rigids, wrists and knees, and the typical involvement is seen in case of tendon sheets and bursae. So, in case of atypical microorganisms, we find mostly in case of immunocompromised patients such as HIV positive patients, especially the highlighted organisms such as Mycobacterium avium intracellular, Mycobacterium canasi and Mycobacterium haemophilum. So, they can be spread via trauma or direct inoculation while farming, gardening or aquatic activities. Whereas in case of tubercular arthritis, in the X-ray lesions can be explained by Phemister's triad, which is like periarticular osteoporosis. Osteoporosis is seen in case of periarticular areas, and osseous erosion, which is peripherally located, and gradual reduction of the intraosseous space. So either the diagnosis of mycobacterial arthritis, which is either tubercular or atypical mycobacteria, is by the biopsy and culture of synovial tissue and the fluid. In tubercular arthritis, Mycobacterium tubercular organisms and acid-fast staining can be seen in synovial fluid. However, it is absent in case of Ponson's disease. So high degree of suspicion should be maintained while diagnosing the Ponson's disease. The treatment for tubercular arthritis is ATT for 6 to 9 months. Atypical microorganisms according to the susceptibility pattern, antimicrobial susceptibility pattern. Coming to the leprosy arthritis, the causative organism will be Mycobacterium leprae. However, it can present as four major clinical presentations. One is neuropathic or Charcot joint, where there is leprosy causing the bone resorption, digital loss, or it can be the Mycobacterium leprae infecting the joint, bacterial septic arthritis, which can be either monoarthritis or oligoarthritis, or in case of lepra reactions where the flare up is there, acute polyarthritis can be seen, or sometimes we can find a rheumatoid like polyarthritis in subacute and chronic phases. So the joints involved are mainly peripheral joints such as wrists, MCP joints, PIP joints. Diagnosis will be slit skin smears and histopathology, and the treatment will be dapsone, rifampin and clofazimine, and in case of neuropathic or in case of bacterial inflammation or arthritis. If it is acute polyarthritis secondary to any of the lepra reactions, the treatment will be as such of the lepra reactions such as glucocorticoids and thalidomide. Then coming to the second group, that is viral infectious agents. So viral agents, we can the three major groups are arboviruses and hepatitis viruses, and also parvovirus, Epstein-Barr virus, and miscellaneous such as rubella, mumps, echovirus, coccidiovirus, enterovirus. So coming to the parvovirus, coming to the viral arthritis, any viral arthritis has a viral prodrome followed by a gap, followed by joint involvement, and followed by resolution. So in case of parvovirus B19, we find a peculiar rash, chronic refractory anemia, aplastic crisis, ITP, myocarditis, hepatitis, myositis, CNS involvement, which produces acute symmetrical polyarthritis involving the MCP and PIP joints in adults, acute symmetrical polyarthritis, whereas in children will get asymmetric oligoarthritis involving the knees, which is self-limiting, lasting for 6 to 8 weeks. The diagnosis is identification of IgM and IgG antibodies for parvovirus B19, and confirmation is by PCR. Whereas in case of Epstein-Barr virus, it is like a link to pathogenesis for many autoimmune connective tissue disorders, and the clinical findings we find are polyarthralgia, monoarthritis, Baker's cyst rupture mainly involving the knee joint, fever and pharyngitis. So next comes the childhood infections such as rubella and mumps. Rubella, we'll find a syndrome of chronic fatigue, low-grade fever, headaches, myalgias, and symmetric inflammation of the fingers, wrists and knees, which is typically seen either 3 days after the rash or 2 to 6 weeks after the vaccination. Whereas in case of mumps, the arthritis will be monoarticular or a migratory polyarthritis, which is self-limiting, occurring less than or equal to 2 weeks of parotitis. Coming to the arboviruses, which are spread arthropod-borne viruses. So they have a syndrome of arthritis and rash-like syndrome, which includes the Flaviviridae, Cocombra and Zika virus, Togaviridae, which includes the Chikungunya virus, Myomyvirus, Onong virus, Semelke forest virus, Sindhibi virus, Bamara forest virus, and Ross River virus, of which the most important are Chikungunya, Zika virus, and Dengue virus, belonging to the alpha virus family, and also Zika viruses and BFV, that is Bamara forest virus and Ross River virus, though not endemic to our areas. So the first, coming to the Chikungunya virus, the incubation period is 2 to 10 days, presenting with fever, chills and severe saddleback pattern and severe arthralgias. And coming to the arthritis, it will be migratory polyarthritis, especially the small joints, and it lasts for the joint pains last for several weeks to years, where the treatment is NSAIDs and chloroquine. Coming to the Zika virus, we will find a viral prodrome of low-grade fever, myalgia, headache, malaise, maculopapular rash, and myalgia and arthralgias rather than arthritis. And dengue virus. Dengue virus is the most common differential for Zika virus or Chikungunya virus. It has both arthritic component and severe myalgic component. It is also known as breakbone fever. And dengue virus also has a hemorrhagic component, which is absent in case of Chikungunya virus. Then coming to the Bamara forest virus and Ross River virus, though they are not endemic in India, they are one of the important causes of viral arthritis, where the incubation period for the viruses is 7 to 9 days, They incapacitate the patient, severely incapacitate the patient for more than or equal to 6 months. It is symmetrical arthritis involving especially the joints involving walking and gripping, especially ankle, knee, wrist, PIP and DIP joints, and also MCP joints. So next, coming to the hepatitis virus. Hepatitis A virus is acute viral arthralgias can be seen, whereas in hepatitis B virus it can be acute or subacute, immune complex mediated, and we'll find two clinical presentations. Most commonly a serum sickness like reaction with maculopapular rash, urticaria, fever and arthralgias 2 weeks prior to the jaundice, or rarely a symmetric arthritis of hands, wrists, elbows and ankles with morning stiffness which resembles a flare of rheumatoid arthritis, and these features resolve by the time the jaundice develops. Coming to the hepatitis C virus, it is a chronic infection causing most commonly arthralgias rather than arthritis. Even if arthritis, it will be mild rheumatoid arthritis pattern of arthritis, and we have to look for cryoglobulinemia. HCV with cryoglobulinemia, the pattern will be large joint involvement, oligoarticular, non-erosive arthritis. Large joints, especially ankle joints, oligoarticular and non-erosive arthritis. So enteroviruses are also known to cause arthralgias, whereas echoviruses cause acute polyarthritis. The other important virus is HIV. Retroviruses, other important group are retroviruses, of which HIV arthritis has many clinical presentations which might be as simple as arthralgias involving a few joints, especially large joints, oligoarticular, especially the large joints, or it can be a reactive arthritis following an episode of urethritis, especially chlamydia trachomatis, which is asymmetric, oligo or polyarticular, especially the lower limb joints, or it can be undifferentiated spondyloarthritis involving the lower back, shoulder and ankles, or it can be acute symmetric polyarthritis involving the small joints of the hands, or a painless monoarthropathy or painful articular syndrome, or a persistent symmetric polyarthropathy, or septic arthritis involving a single joint, as in case of mycoplasma in immunocompromised patients. And the other retroviruses such as human T lymphotropic virus type 1, you can see a chronic persistent oligoarthritis involving the shoulders, wrists, hands and knees. The characteristic features of this virus is synovial thickening and destruction of articular cartilage, that is both synovium and the cartilage are involved, and presence of leukemic appearing atypical cells in the synovial fluid. So the diagnosis of retroviruses might be because of ELISA or Western blot, and the treatment is for HIV is antiretroviral therapy. Coming to the next group, that is fungal infection. The fungal infection, the clinical features are they cause mainly chronic monoarticular arthritis, especially seen in case of immunocompromised patients. The mode of spread is either hematogenous seeding or direct extension. So the causative organisms like Cocoides immitis, Blastomyces dermatitis, Paracocoides, Aspergillus and Nocardia. So the Histoplasma capsulatum causes histoplasmosis, where we can find a migratory polyarthralgia or polyarthritis and erythema nodosum. Sporotrichosis caused by Sporothrix shanki is a lymphocutaneous disease with monoarthritis seen in gardeners or men, most commonly in men alcoholics, and this monoarticular lymphocutaneous disease with monoarthritis can occasionally be polyarticular in case of debilitated hosts or immunocompromised hosts. And candida is also can cause this monoarticular and polyarticular arthritis, which is seen in case of IV drug abuses. In case of IV drug abuses, it involves the spine and sacroiliac joints. In case of critically ill patients or hematogenous seeding, it involves knee, hip or shoulder joints. The diagnosis is based on the synovial fluid analysis involving finding 10,000 to 40,000 cells with 70% neutrophils, and the synovial tissue stained specimens and cultures. Treatment will be drainage and lavage of the joint and systemic or intra-articular antifungal agent. So coming to the next group, parasitic arthritis, which is very rare, which may be oligo or polyarthritis. The pathophysiology because of the circulating immune complexes or direct irritation from the worms. The risk factors are seen in case of endemic areas and travelers and immigrants. Diagnosis and treatment. And diagnosis is mainly when you get a poor response to anti-inflammatory drugs, but a marked improvement is seen after giving anti-parasitic drugs. Few examples are Guinea worm, where the migrating gravid female worms invade the joints, especially of the lower extremities, and hydatid cyst, where the expanded hydatid cystic lesions involve the hips and pelvis. Schistosomial X, causing chronic synovitis, and Eukaryoria bancrofti or lymphatic filariasis, where there will be acute sterile monoarthritis involving knee especially, and the synovial fluid will be chylous effusion, mainly chylous arthritis. So the diagnosis and treatment is based on DEC. The thing is infection which reduces on DEC. So DEC both is diagnostic and therapeutic, and a few other parasitic infections like strongyloides, Cryptosporidium parvum, giardia is seen in case of immunocompromised patients, and it is a form of reactive arthritis. Coming to the next group, that is post-infectious or reactive arthritis. It occurs post-infection, especially several weeks after the infection, 2 to 6 weeks after the infection, when 1% of cases of non-gonococcal urethritis and 2% of enteric infections. The most common causative agents are Yersinia enterocolitica, Shigella flexneri, Campylobacter jejuni, and Salmonella. The clinical presentation can be classic presentation like arthritis, urethritis, conjunctivitis, uveitis involving the oral ulcers, rash, and painful asymmetric oligoarthritis. Low back pain, which is presents as sacroiliitis or enthesitis, and rash. The joints involved are knees, ankle, and feet. Specific importance, the predilection is seen in young men with HLA-B27 locus, and the recovery is seen within 6 months, whereas prolonged recurrent disease you have to check for chlamydial urethritis. The treatment will be anti-inflammatory agents. However, the role of prolonged antibiotic therapy in case of post-infectious or reactive arthritis is controversial. So the different bacteria causing reactive arthritis are Salmonella causing the typhoid, Shigella and Yersinia causing gastroenteritis, Campylobacter and Clostridium difficile causing the gastroenteritis, and Trophorema whipple causing the Whipple's disease, and different urinary bacteria, Chlamydia trachomatis causing urethritis, E. coli is most common cause of UTI, and in case of immunocompromised patients, Mycoplasma genitalium and Ureaplasma, and respiratory bacteria like hemolytic streptococcus, Campylobacter pneumonia. Especially hemolytic streptococcus, group A beta hemolytic streptococcus is responsible for both rheumatic fever and also a reactive arthritis. So this group A beta hemolytic streptococcus infection should be differentiated from reactive rheumatic fever and reactive arthritis. In case of rheumatic fever, the joints, there will be no inflammation of the joints, there will be migratory polyarthritis which lasts for about 3 weeks. Whereas in case of reactive arthritis, it occurs after a respiratory infection, 2 to 6 weeks after the respiratory infection, and there is no migratory polyarthritis, and the joints are inflamed. Coming to the bacteria which are not associated with HLA-B27 includes Borrelia, Brucella causing brucellosis, where animal exposure can be a history, Haemophilus influenza, Leptospira, Mycobacterium, Neisseria, Vibrio, and Staphylococcus and Streptococcus. So other infectious mimics of rheumatic diseases include rheumatic fever, especially which we have to differentiate from rheumatoid arthritis, and also the infective endocarditis, where we can see different rashes and lesions should be differentiated from SLE and other systemic sclerosis disorders. So the rheumatic fever is caused by group A beta hemolytic streptococci, where the pathophysiology is secondary to molecular mimicry. So the cardinal features of rheumatic arthritis includes carditis, which can be a pancarditis or bread and butter pericarditis, or myocarditis with Aschoff bodies and Aniscoff cells, Sydenham's chorea, erythema marginatum, subcutaneous nodules or rheumatoid nodules, and the arthritis part involved is migratory polyarthritis for a period of 3 weeks without any residual deformity. However, if the joints with a residual deformity can be seen in metacarpophalangeal joints in rheumatic fever known as Jacquard's arthritis. So the diagnosis criteria is Jones criteria, and the treatment is penicillin and cephalosporins. The DD can be rheumatoid arthritis. Especially it should be differentiated from rheumatoid arthritis, where there will be a residual deformity. Coming to the infective endocarditis, it is caused by a group of organisms. Hence, it can be acute, subacute or chronic. Most common causative organisms can be Staphylococcus, Streptococcus, Hackett group of organisms, and Pseudomonas species. And also some fungi, viral, other infections can also cause infective endocarditis. The pathophysiology mainly involved is formation of the immune complexes to these organisms, and this immune complex, embolization of these immune complexes. The most common clinical feature is vegetation over the cardiac valves and cardiac failure, and these immune complexes, because of the immune complex deposition and embolization, we can get Janeway lesions, splinter hemorrhages, Osler's nodes, Roth spots, renal, pulmonary and CNS involvement, cases like splenic infarct. So it should be the investigation of choice will get a blood cultures and 2D echo, and differential diagnosis is from SLE, and the diagnosis is based on modified Duke's criteria. Treatment is antibiotics according to the susceptibility, and other few miscellaneous like sarcoidosis. Sarcoidosis is a chronic inflammatory disorder with non-caseating granulomas at the involved sites. In 15 to 20% of the patients, we find a symmetrical arthritis involving the wrists, PIPs, and also ankles and knees. So it is most commonly seen as a syndrome known as Lofgren syndrome, where there is acute arthritis, erythema nodosum, and bilateral hilar lymphadenopathy. So an approach to the patient with rheumatic disease, the diagnosis is mainly based on clinical grounds. Firstly, we have to ask about the questions about the nature of the disease, whether it is articular, non-articular, whether it is acute or chronic, whether it is inflammatory, non-inflammatory, pattern of joint involvement, or any other extra articular features. Lastly, order the investigations that help to confirm your clinical impression to sort out your differential diagnosis. So, any patient coming with musculoskeletal complaint, first you get a history and examination. If you take only the arthritis component, first we have to rule out either articular, non-articular, acute or chronic, inflammatory or non-inflammatory, the number and distribution of the joints. If it is non-articular, it can be fibromyalgia or hypermobility. If it is articular, see if it is either acute or chronic. Acute if less than 6 weeks. Acute arthritis can be seen in infectious causes, crystal-induced arthritis such as gouts, Reiter's, which is a reactive arthritis, and presentation of chronic arthritis. Acute presentation of chronic arthritis. And chronic more than 6 weeks, it can be either inflammatory or non-inflammatory. Coming to the chronic non-inflammatory arthritis, which affects the weight-bearing joints such as hips and knees and distal interphalangeal joints, is mainly osteoarthritis, osteonecrosis or Charcot's arthritis, whereas chronic inflammatory arthritis with morning stiffness more than 1 hour, synovial swelling, warm, tender joints with systemic manifestations, elevated CRP, elevated ESR. Now you go for the number of joints involved. If 1 to 4 joints are involved, mono or oligoarthritis, it is in case of chronic infection, psoriatic arthritis, Reiter's syndrome. And if it is more than 4 joints, polyarthritis, check if it is symmetrical or asymmetrical. If it is polyarthritis, especially asymmetrical, go for psoriatic arthritis and Reiter's syndrome. And if it is symmetrical, polyarthritis symmetrical involving the PIP, MCP or MTP, it is rheumatoid arthritis. So mainly proximal interphalangeal joints, MCPs and MTPs, it is MCPs and MTPs rheumatoid arthritis, whereas large weight bearing joints with chronic non-inflammatory arthritis is osteoarthritis. So the patients with chronic inflammatory polyarthritis, which is symmetrical but not involving the PIP MCP joints with other manifestations of the skin and connective tissue, they come under SLE, systemic sclerosis and polymyositis. Thank you.